Hi, I'm Abby Harper.
And I'm Naeem Edwards.
We're with MSU Extension here at the Tollgate Farm in Novi.
And today we'll be talking about weed management techniques as well as identifying specific weeds found in Midwest agriculture.
As a small farmer, weeds can take up a large amount of your time, and finding practical solutions that don't require excessive machinery or other inputs you might not be comfortable with can be a really important strategy to support your farm profitability.
Sweet. And we'll also be covering weed prevention, some hand tools that are often used in weed management, and
Sounds good.
All
Let's
right.
go. One of the best tools in your weed management toolbox is weed prevention. How do you prevent weeds from coming up in the first place? One of a really great tool for this is occultation or tarping, which you can see behind me. Some folks also use solarization, which is with clear plastic, but this method basically suppresses light and air circulation and prevents weeds from growing in the first place. The benefit of this is once you remove the tarps after a certain period of time, the weeds haven't germinated underneath, or if they've germinated, they've already died back. So you can easily just do a light tillage on the surface, not have to plow deeply or use heavy machinery, and can start with a very clean weed bed. Solarization works similarly, just with clear tarps instead of the dark plastic that you see here. Usually this is a practice you might want to use for a field that you're going to leave fallow for a period of time, either because the weed pressure has gotten so extensive that it's not feasible to really cultivate at any effective measure, or a field that you might not cultivate till later in the season to prevent weeds from germinating before you're ready to use that field. So if we look underneath here, you can see that this tarp has peeled back the majority of what was growing underneath. And any of this residual comes up pretty easily just with a hand or with another hand tool. What they've done here is made sure to weight it down with whatever material they had around. So these are some old agricultural tubes. You can see some pipes, just to make sure the tarp stays in place and the wind doesn't pick it up and carry it elsewhere. So it's doing a pretty effective job here.
Similar to occultation and using a tarp to kill early emerging weeds, here at Tollgate they're using a weed fabric and a plastic mulch to keep weeds down the entire growing season. So rather than simply cover the soil before planting, they use this fabric and this mulch and simply cut holes in it for the plants to come through. Once the soil is covered, it essentially permanently prevents weeds from growing through that material. So these are materials you can leave in place to keep weeds down. They also reduce the amount of materials needed by leaving the aisles open with enough spacing to simply run a lawnmower up and down the aisle while weeds are being suppressed near the plants.
An alternative to plastic mulch is to use an organic mulch like wood chips or straw. This serves a similar purpose of suppressing weed growth. However, it is slightly more permeable than its plastic counterpart, so you can see, especially around the base of the trees, that there's still some weed pressure that creeps in. The benefit of this is it provides that same water retention and suppression of weeds that black plastic mulch does, but it's an organic material that's going to decompose over time and add organic matter to your soil.
Once weeds emerge in your growing space, there are a number of hand tools that can be utilized to manage and kill them. All of these tools are valuable because they take stress off of your body, make work life and weed management a lot easier than kneeling on the ground and pulling them with your hands. We'll start with these wire hose, and a lot of these tools also have a handheld version if you want to work more closely to the ground. Wire hose are valuable for working in tight spaces and also with more delicate plants, perhaps seedlings or really young weeds, and we'll show you how to use all of these in the field as well. Here we have a collinear hoe and a trapezoid hoe, therefore working with a little more mature weeds, and also they come in different sizes for depending on plant spacing.
This field was tarped before planting on, which means that we already got ahead of the weed pressure a little bit and prevented many from germinating. Now we're going to use our hoe here, our collinear hoe, and I'm choosing this over the trapezoid hoe because the rows were spaced that allows for a longer length. And we're just gonna very barely scrape the surface and not knock back any weeds that have germinated to get a really nice clean bed that doesn't outcompete with the alliums that are planted here.
Next, we have stirrup hose, also different sizes depending on spacing. Stirrup hose are really valuable for more mature weeds. They have like a double-edged blade for cutting at thicker brush. The heaviest duty of them all is a wheel hoe. Wheel hoes are really valuable for breaking up sod and also removing some of the densest or thickest stem weeds.
There are a variety of methods producers can use to manage weeds without chemical inputs. Choosing appropriate tools can impact your farm productivity and profitability in addition to maintaining your physical health.
Select methods appropriate for your intended goal. Methods like occultation and solarization can be used to create stale seed beds, while others, including hand tools, plastic fabric, or organic mulch, effectively manage weeds during production. Regardless of your chosen method, a comprehensive weed management strategy is an essential tool for your farm's success.